lot of his photos. I send him a text message saying that that was extremely rude, and then he has the audacity to text me back and tell me that is actually his ex-girlfriend. He was just really upset and caught off guard because she wasn't expecting to meet me that night. So then he tells me he wants to make it up to me by taking me out for dinner, to which I'm like, no thank you, sir. Never went on to speak or hang out again, but I do still follow him on social media. Don't know what his relationship status is, but I do see his ex-girlfriend in a lot of his photos. That experience left such a bad taste in my mouth that I actually stayed away from dating Indian men after that.
Our next contestant is Warren. Okay, so there's no more balloons, so go ahead and go.
That's one race that she won't date.
Indians. Indian bitches.
Indian.
Indian. They're weird.
Indians.
Indian bitches. They're built funny.
Like, they're not really attractive.
So I asked this girl out, and she was like, oh, sorry. After my divorce, I can't date Indian men. I was like, wait, your divorce was so bad, you became racist? Then I was like, man, I hope she was married to an Indian guy. Because otherwise, the story is just, oh, no. I was married to a white guy, but the divorce was so bad, I just hate Indian people. On top of that, she's Indian. How can you be racist against yourself?
What ethnicity would you not date?
The question of the day is, which nationality would you not date?
Indian.
Tyskland. Why?
Alltså, jag vet såga dem med den här prickan här på pannan alltså. Jag vet inte vad det är, men jag vet inte.
What race would you not date?
Indian.
What's wrong with Indians?
I don't know, I just stick to Africans, not any people. Yeah, Indians.
What's wrong with Indians though, like?
Nothing is, I wouldn't date them.
Why?
I just wouldn't date them.
What race would you not date?
Indian.
You don't like
Indian. Indian.
Hey.
Indian.
Indian?
Indians. Indians.
What race would you not date?
Indians.
What race would you not date? I think Indians as well. They're not my type.
What do you think is the least attractive race?
Probably Indian.
Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about why most people are scared or are not interested in dating Indian men. For the longest time, we all know that Indians prefer to marry within their culture, and within that culture they have that thing where the rich would like to marry rich, and of course the middle class would like to marry within the middle class, or they climb up the ladder and marry a rich person, and of course the lower class will want to marry someone who's in the lower class, or maybe they can climb the ladder if the family agrees. Remember, for the Indians family, they usually pay dowry, and what happens is it's the woman to pay dowry, while in other culture across the world, it's usually the man who usually pay dowry to the woman's family. But now in the Indian culture, it's usually the woman who pays dowry to the man family. And if you happen to come from the man comes from a very wealthy family, and of course they educated their kid in those expensive school and is doing so well, then the dowry is going to be very, very expensive. You have seen cases whereby women who wants to get married, and then they start they agree to the marriage, the man proposes, and then the time for dowry comes in, and you hear the dowry is so expensive that these women sometimes they decide, you know what, I'd rather just some cases you've heard of cases where someone commits suicide. Some women have committed suicide. Others decided, you know what, I'm just going to walk out of this relationship because I cannot afford the dowry. It's like literally, because the dowry is so expensive that literally if the woman or the family decide to pay the dowry, they're going to end up becoming poor. It's part of their culture, which they know. And then now, if an Indian person marry outside their race, now that's also another factor, especially if an Indian marries a black person. Some people usually they will look down upon that relationship. Others, of course, will not judge, but majority of them, they don't like having somebody who has a darker skin, because for them, especially during the time of colonialism, for the longest time, the Indians prefer to have pale skin. Even though in some of the Indians, you can look at them, they have dark skin tone, and of course, there are those who usually have the lighter pale skin tone that everybody admires. That's the reason why you see they have a cosmetic industry that is worth billions and billions of dollars that focus on skin bleaching. But all this, you can trace it back to the historical time when the British colonized the Indians, and for the longest time, the rich Indians, they used to stay indoors, and so whenever they used to go out there, they have this pale skin, while the poor Indians, they used to work in the field, and as a result of being under the sun for too long, they ended up having a darker skin. So they usually prefer people who have pale skin, light skin. That's the reason why Indians prefer to marry within their culture, within their race, or to marry a white person, unlike when they marry a black person. Of course, times have changed, and I've seen some cases where people are marrying outside and they've decided to marry black people, but majority prefer to marry within their culture, within their race, and of course to marry a white person because of that thing of you want to keep that pale skin within the family line. And of course, the reason also that why people prefer not to marry Indians, in some cases you hear Indians, they are so patriarchal, the way they are, some of them are rude, some of them are arrogant, they are mama's boy, and all that plays around when in a relationship where women feel like I cannot cope with this person, so I'd rather just decide to stay, to marry within my race, so that dealing with these other factors which strain a relationship, they prefer to play it safe. So it is a complex situation, and of course the media also play a role. For the longest time, there is this stereotype and then media representation, where the Western media has often portrayed Indian men in limited or negative ways, like they're nerdy, socially awkward, overly traditional, or misogynistic. Also, these stereotypes don't represent the full diversity of Indian men, but do influence public perception, and especially in Western countries. And of course, the cultural differences. There's differences in dating norms and gender roles that can lead to misunderstandings between people, especially if you're marrying an Indian and maybe you come from an African culture, or maybe you come from a Western culture. The way you do things, maybe you can have quarrels because of that, because you're not understanding each other. And then some Indian men may come from conservative backgrounds, which may conflict more liberal or Western approaches to dating. And of course, expectations around marriage, family involvement, or timelines can also create friction. So like I said, there's so many factors that play a role. And of course, in the process now, it's made people out there to look at Indian men like, I prefer maybe to marry someone from other races, but for Indian, maybe I should stay away from that because of the complex situation towards their culture. Let me know what you think about this video. Drop your comments and please subscribe to my channel. And the other factor is most Indian men, when they date, they're usually introduced by family members. They go to blind date that are introduced by, maybe an auntie knows someone else from another family, and then they introduce their children, and then from there they meet, and if they like each other, then they tell family we like each other, and then the family will do the introduction, and then from there now they proceed of maybe setting a wedding date, and then from there they dowry negotiations, and after that then they decide to get married. So there's a lot of Indians, when they marry, they usually are introduced by family members because they know each other. They want to marry within their caste system. They want to marry within their status, that is rich among the rich, or the middle class among the middle class, or maybe middle class among the rich, depending on the family expectation, family accepting their kids, becoming open-minded, like, okay, our kids, if they love each other, that's the most important thing. But mostly operate on the fact is the family must agree to the marriage, and of course the children will be introduced by the family members.
The small side of life. India's a large country, yet we know a lot of Indians, the well-educated ones, tend to fly the world for a better quality of life. They go to Australia, they go to Canada, they go to England, and a lot of blonde girls do tend to like the Indians. However, we all discuss amongst ourselves that they're on the smaller side of life, which is not a bad thing. It's more about quality over quantity. And here's the truth. Men seem to think, oh, fucking, he's only got her because he's on the big side of life. But it's not how it works. It's always quality. So if you're an Indian guy and you're kind of unlucky in some departments of life, if you've got the quality, then go for it. Get yourself a nice Western girl, because 100% she will be interested. Especially if you're a kind person. And I'll tell you, okay, a pro to Indian men, they'll marry you. A lot of Western men don't get married, but Indian guys, they'll marry you.
If you're Indian, if you're from Pakistan, if you're just a man who looks Indian, Pakistani, not Asian, Indian specifically, fucking hell, get yourself an Eastern European woman. I've done a lot of people watching today. I mean, I knew this anyway, but today just confirmed it when I was in a restaurant for 4 hours. The amount of couples I saw, dark businessman, Indian-looking man with Eastern European girls, stunning Eastern European women, love dark Indian-looking businessmen. I'm not talking about like, there's certain types of businesses. I'm talking about mega business where they're spending lots of time away with work. So she is a pampered pooch at home. Eastern European are genuinely really, really attracted to the way that they look as well. And also, I know this sounds a bit cringe, but if they look cool and not just all sophisticated, like long hair. Like long hair on a man is kind of hot these days, so they go crazy for that. So grow your hair out if you want to. Like, you can be a big businessman with long hair. By the way, they didn't care about the size of the peanuts because, look, you guys aren't blessed in that department, but who gives a fuck?